Hey everybody, Stan Smith from Iron Sharp K9, and what is the most important command that your dog should have? Hey yo, Boot, come on. It's the recall, people, and what is a recall? Boot! You should be able to call your dog back in any situation. Good boy! Yeah! Without any leashes, any devices, or anything. You want to know that that dog is going to come back and you have that reliable recall. And we're going to show you the steps that it took us to get to the point where Boot has this kind of recall without no fence, without anything. He still knows when I call him back, he's getting something out of it, and it's worth it. So stay tuned, people. So the first thing you want to do is make sure you have some type of high value reward. And what is a high value reward? It's going to depend on your dog. Some dogs really like treats. Some dogs like balls and tugs. Some dogs like loving. Yeah. So you got to make sure you're using what works for your dog. The recall. You're going to use motion in the very beginning. So look at Boot there. I'm going to say his name, Boot. And as soon as he looks at me, I'm moving, because the motion is going to cause him to come back. So he can just come with me. Boop. And when he gets close, you can reward him. You can click, you can give him that treat. So now he understands that coming back to you and being in this vicinity is a good thing. And that's what you want your dog to understand, that being around you is a good thing. He can go and chase that cat, but when I call him, he knows, hey, Daddy got something good for me, so let me go check it out. And that's going to be the casual way to call your dog. It's casual because there's no physical end point. So when I say, hey, yo, Boot, this is all I want him to do. I just want him to come in my vicinity. But if I told Boot, if he's going over there again, free. If I tell him, Boot, left, now that recall is him getting into that position there. Good boy. You want to be clear about the communication whenever you're working with your dog, people. If you are clear about what's expected, even when your dog is paying attention to a dog you eat, and you tell him, Boot, left, he's going to come back and get into those recalls. Free. Good. So now that's the explanation of it. Now we're going to take a dog who doesn't have as solid as a recall, and we're going to show you the steps to get your dog to the point that Boot is at, people. So stay tuned, man. All right, so now we got Nova, and she has no recall because look, Nova, hey, come. So you see, she knows none of this already. So what we're going to do is we're going to give her a little reminder. I'm going to give her a pop, and I'm going to tell her to come. Nope. When she looks, I'm going to use my motion to draw her into me. And it's going to be that motion is going to get that dog's attention. So again, when she looks up, Nova. Yes! Good girl. Good girl. And when she makes her way back, because what I'm marking in this instance is the dog coming back to me. So when we go, Nova, good. She hears that click and it's like, oh, that's the right thing I need to be doing in this instant. And then when she gets there, that's when the dog gets paid. And it starts off very subtle. Nova. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Yes. And anytime your dog just acknowledges it and she comes back on her own, you want to mark that behavior. You want the dog to understand that you are a good place. Good things happen when they're around you. You don't only want the dog to be getting corrected from you. So again, over there messing with Jamil, we're going to go, Nova. She's not paying attention. We'll give a pop, little reminder. Yeah, good job. And this is why I like that flexi leash, because you can get about 26 feet away, but you can still communicate with the dog when you need to. So if she's not paying attention, Nova, come. Yes. Good job, baby. Good job. And now she didn't even need that little bit of a reminder. But in the learning phase, we're going to constantly have this on so we can make sure she does it successfully, because we don't want to teach the dog that they can ignore us when they want to. So again, Nova, come. Yes, ma'am. Good job. That's a sweet girl. Then when you're breaking these things down with your dog, then give them a break. So now we're just going to take a little stroll. We're going to walk around, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to add an end point to make this recall a lot more formal. So y'all stay tuned. when you're teaching your dogs these things, you have to give them a decompression time. You have to give them a time to get their break so you can walk around. I like to associate it like kids going to recess. If you had these kids in elementary school and you made them go to math, reading, science, back to back to back to back, they're going to start being very disruptive and they're not going to be paying attention. So what they do is they go to class, they learn a little bit, then they go to recess. Then they learn a little bit more, then they go to band, then they go to something else, and then they go to lunch. So when you're working with your dog, don't make it work, 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 because that's not fun for anybody, especially not the dog. So now, we've had that little break, and we're gonna come back, and I'm gonna tell her front. And when I tell her front, I want her to come and sit down directly in front of me. So, we got to break that down into a couple pieces. So same concept, we're gonna say Nova. When we get her attention, yes, front. Good. And when she sits, that's when she's gonna get that reward. Again, she dropped the treats, Nova, front. Oh, you gotta chew it, kid. Hold on. Wait, finish it. Hey, finish it, front. Good. Never a dull moment when you're working with dogs, people. Did you finish it now? You done chewing? You're not supposed to run with your mouth full. Nova, front. And if she's not as close as you would like, you're gonna lure her in a little bit. You let her smell, and then pull her there, and then you're gonna click, free, and then reward her when she's in that proper position. The formal recall, this is exactly how it has to be done. So regardless, if she's over there, she's here. If I'm facing this way and I tell her, Nova, front, she needs to come around. Hey. And finish. There we go. Free. And that's the only way that command needs to be done. So what you're gonna do after you taught your dog this, then you just have to do more more reps to get the results that you're looking for. That's a tongue twister, say that 10 times fast. But you gotta do more reps, you gotta make it a little bit harder. You gotta add people with distractions, you gotta add dogs, you gotta add obstacles, and then your dog is really gonna understand what a recall is. Because if they have that finish position, regardless if they're 100 feet away or 3 feet away, they still have to close that distance and get into there. So when you're working with recall people, have something that assists you in that. If you're in a distraction-free environment, work on the recall without it. But if you're out here and you can't control the outcome and you're gonna be hoping and you're actually teaching that dog that if they want, they can ignore you, they're gonna learn that they can. So again, we're gonna end on one good note. She's paying attention to that cat over there. Nova, front. 1, 2, pop. And when she gets there, good girl, free. And you notice I did not repeat the recall again. I repeated the correction. If she wouldn't have came, then she would have got another correction. But that light little pop was enough for her to get to understand that she's doing the wrong thing. So let's do it one time without needing a correction. Nova, front. Good girl, free. So just to recap, people, when you're working with your dog, have something that they want, whether if it's a treat, whether it's a tug, whether it's a big Super Bowl party whenever they get there, but have something for them. Do not ever get to the point where my dog's gonna do it just because they love me. And yes, there's gonna be a time where you're not gonna have to reward your dog every single time, but I want my dog to think they are gonna get something more times than they think that they aren't. Because when that situation comes, when these recalls are really gonna be needed in an emergency situation, when that dog is going over there chasing a cat or a rabbit and she's getting to that street and we say, Nova, front! Boom. That is the type of reaction, good girl, that you're gonna be looking for, people. So stay tuned, stay safe, stay sharp. Make sure you subscribe, and if you have any questions, if we need to break it down even more for you guys, let us know. And just take care of your dog.